this is Jackie with Cathcart Creations, and it's been a while since I've done a video, almost 4 years, and I just wanted to get back into it and let you guys know what's going on in my life. So for the past 4 years, other than doing art here and there and posting it on Instagram, I have been working on writing a book, actually a series called the Ocúrey Chronicles. The first book is called Days of the Moon, and I have really enjoyed working on this project, but I wanted to do something a little bit more with it. So with that said, the next several weeks, however long it takes, I'm going to be illustrating different chapters in my story, actually each chapter in my story, to be able to share Days of the Moon and Guinevere's adventure with you guys. I hope you guys like what I have done and that y'all enjoy what comes next. So I present to you the Ocúrey Chronicles, Days of the Moon.
Prologue, a riotous return. The lake water churned and swirled beneath the hull of the Luntaran ship as elven sailors struggled against the pole arms, guiding the vessel into Lunaliorthel's port. Guinevere could hear the discordant screams from the water, and she knew somehow word had gotten out. Word that Tiriana Gelvermere, heir to the Whispermere seat, was dead, and that she, a half-elf, was alive. Guinevere wished she could feel something, anything that would make her homecoming more positive, but her heart was darkened with the numb realization that she would soon have to face the music, the consequences, for returning after a failed mission. A mission that could have been completed without incident if she had just tried harder. If only Tiriana had been convinced to work with her. If Guinevere could have persuaded Tiriana to be a team member rather than an authoritarian dictator who wouldn't listen, they would have been successful. If Tiriana had listened, they would have proven the moon elven prejudice of half-elves being worthless was wrong. If. Guinevere leaned over the banister at the bow of the ship as she mentally combated against the violent memories filling her head with hopeless scenarios of what could have happened but would never be. Guinevere resolved within herself as she stared down at the writhing waves. At this point, I'm desperate to be free of Tiriana's burdensome corpse. I'm ready to move on and leave this pain behind me. She recalled what she had told her mother in the note she sent before leaving the Solatidan military port in the Shadow Swamps, her parents' presence at the docks, a couple of paladins to relieve her of her companion's dead body, and to make sure her siblings weren't there. While she would readily admit to wanting nothing more than to see her spunky sister Nai and her sweet brother Little E, she didn't want them to see her like this, or see her companion's corpse. Not now, not after everything that had happened in the swamps. She didn't want her happy, innocent siblings to witness what the stink of death could do to someone they looked up to. They would see her soon enough, as soon as she could get over this nightmare. Fluttering silk sails and the closing of shutter-like gaffs to booms marked the end of the elven vessel's journey from the dark wetlands to the land of moonlight. A couple of the wiry elven sailors jumped from the deck to the docks, tying the ship fast so the weary soldiers from the shadow swamps could depart from the confines of the ship. Guinevere stayed put for another moment at the bow of the swan-like craft, searching for her parents in the crowd below. Without the reaches of the port square were her people, writhing in vicious words and malicious intents towards the scene of her arrival. And, just as she had requested of her madre, there before the bustling crowd stood her parents with a couple of paladin knights to relieve her of the albatross carcass in the belly of the ship. Am I allowed to breathe now? Guinevere questioned herself. Can I make the trip down that gangplank and bear the unimaginable news with them? I don't want to. I really don't want to do this. She looked across the distance at her mother, and their eyes connected. She sighed, reciting a line from one of her favorite novels. Even in the hardest of times, everyone will have to face things they want not to confront. Despite the pit of darkness that held residence in her gut and the tumultuous crowd in the streets, Guinevere finally removed herself from the ship. Every step, every breath, even every blink of her eyes felt strained and labored. She stood away from her parents at a distance, ashamed at her failure to bring Tiriana back alive. But after a moment of waiting, as if not being able to continue seeing her in pain, Althea ambled across the debilitating distance, undeterred, in a couple of steps. Her mother cried as she swallowed her daughter in a tight embrace. Riunila! She trembled in her mother's loving embrace, watching as her stepfather directed the Paladin brothers up the gangplank. The Ryan followed them to the forecastle cabin, and shortly thereafter the delicate arrangement of her partner's deathbed was carried out. She cast her eyes to the ground, guilt filling her breast. Althea exclaimed, "I'm so glad you are all right." "What happened?" the Ryan questioned gently as he rejoined his family. Guinevere explained, "I tried to get her to plan with me. I tried. And I tried to catch up to her, to help her against the banshee, but before I knew it, before I could get to her, I I didn't want it to end like this. I should have been the one who died, not her." Althea hugged her tighter and soothed. "Oh, Gwen, please don't say that." Piercing wails rang through the western plaza above the irate voices of Luntera as a middle-aged elven lady ran across to the Paladin brothers, who had placed the stretcher on a small cart. She clung in lamentation to the druid's corpse, her silver hair hanging in waves over her shoulders like a grief shroud. Either because of her facial features or the way she carried herself, Guinevere soon realized that this she-elf was Tiriana's mother. Her midnight blue eyes darkened menacingly as she turned towards the noble family. The angry mother stalked towards them, spurting. "Are you the reason she is dead?" Guinevere stammered. Althea cautioned. "Vasati." "No, Althea, I want to know." Vasati glared at the Queen of Luntera before turning her wrathful gaze back to Guinevere. "Were you there when Tiriana died?" Tears welled up in Guinevere's eyes as she confessed, "Yes, I was there." "Then it is because of you that my daughter will never return." Vasati spat. "You disgust me." "Vasati!" Althea gasped, pulling Guinevere behind her. "If anyone is to blame for the death of your daughter, it's the banshee. Even Tiriana is more at fault for her own death, since she refused to work with her partner." Vasati defended. "And why should she need the help of this weak mongrel?" The Ryan stepped protectively in front of them. "The mongrel you speak of is our daughter." "Ha!" Vasati scoffed. "We all know that's not the truth. If she was your daughter, the Ryan, she would have pure magic running through her veins. Tiriana would still be alive." Guinevere offered, "Please, if I can just explain." "No!" the distraught mother screamed. "I've had enough of you. Get out of my sight." Guinevere stood there for a moment, trying to figure out what she could say. Then, realizing that fighting anger with anger wasn't the way to deal with the situation, she placed a hand on her mother's shoulder and stepped around her parents. The crowd roared around them. Anxiety quelled in her heart as she stepped forward towards the grieving mother, her mind resolute that she had to do this. "I said get out," Vasati growled. Guinevere took in a deep breath and calmly expressed, "I can only imagine what you are going through, my Gilvermere, and while a part of me knows that you might not listen to me, I do want to extend to you my condolences. I understand why you blame me. Why shouldn't a half-elf be blamed for the death of the Whispermere heir? Hate me if you want, but know that although she despised me, in the end I only wanted the best for her. I only wanted Tiriana to live and be happy. If you take anything away from this, I want you to know that she passed quickly and without pain. I didn't want her to die. I tried to revive her, but I was too late. Guinevere timidly looked up into Visati's grief-stricken face as silence stirred between them. Slowly she pulled out a moonflower laurel from within her healer's pouch, placed it over Tiriana's stiff hands, and turned away from Visati. She would go with her parents and face the consequences. She only hoped that whatever happened, that her treatment would be right and just.